If there is one thing that I get so excited about sharing with you, it is furnishing a house for very little money. Now, hello my friends, I'm Sarah, welcome to Grace in My Space. I love thrifting. I love refinishing furniture. I love furnishing a house for almost no money and making it look like you spent thousands. And that is what today is all about. I want to show you how I have taken 8 different furniture pieces and purchased them for less than $100 each, including this cabinet, and completely transformed it to look like a several $1,000 piece. Now, I find that one of the biggest challenges to creating a home in this day and age is just the cost of furniture. Furniture has absolutely skyrocketed. If I were a newly married woman looking at today's furniture costs, I would think there is no way that we will ever be able to afford a couch. I would think that there's no way that we'll ever be able to have storage in our home because things are so incredibly expensive. And while there are plenty of instances where it makes sense to invest in a good quality piece of furniture that you're gonna have for decades, other times I think that it makes more sense to go to Facebook Marketplace or a thrift store or a yard sale and come home with a piece that was affordable, that you can put some elbow grease into, and you can make your own. I have been doing this since we were newly married, and I still have some of my very first refinished pieces in my home today that I refinished over 15 years ago, and I've done it multiple times, and every time it's like I have a brand new piece of furniture. So I want to show you how to do that in your home too. Now, there are several things that I look for when I'm looking for a piece of furniture to flip. Number one, it needs to have solid construction or at least something that I can repair. I tend to stay away from chipping veneers or things that are going to be a little bit more difficult to repair well. And I also tend to stay away from fabric. Not that you have to, I'm just not personally skilled in reupholstering, so that's not something to shy away from if you think that you can tackle that kind of project. Besides solid construction, I look for affordability. I don't want to be paying the same amount that I would be paying for brand new furniture. And for that, skip the antique store and go to Facebook Marketplace, yard sales, or thrift stores. I got this coffee table for $100. It is very large, has beautiful detail on it. I refinished it and stripped it down to its natural wood in the beginning. And then over the years, I made a couple more tweaks to it, darkening the top to fit the look and the style of my home as I changed my own personal styles. And that's one thing that I absolutely love about flipping furniture is that you can buy a piece and you can transform it as many times as you want and as many times as you're able, and it will grow with you and live with you because you're not afraid to put a little bit of elbow grease into it or change the way it looks because you didn't pay a ton of money for it. And so I feel like that just gives you so much more freedom to update it and keep it with you longer. And here it is today in my current home. This has been through 4 homes with us. And I actually went to go style this coffee table just to kind of show a few different ways to do it and realized that I had a massive garage sale this month and I have no decor left. I don't know why I did that. You ever get in those purging moods where you just can't stand things anymore, and so you're like, I'm just selling it all? Well, that's what I did. And I did sell it all, and I have almost nothing left. So today, coffee table decor is gonna be a pile of books. Now, this coffee table has kind of a fun story behind it. This was one of the first pieces that I ever refinished, and when my son was like 1 or 2, we could not keep him off of it, and he was just constantly climbing on it and having dance parties and jumping around on it. And it was one of those things where as a young mom, I would not have been able to handle that, I don't think, if it was a really expensive piece of furniture where I thought that he was going to break it or I thought that it was going to get damaged. And so I think that there's so much freedom not only in just being able to refinish a piece like this multiple times as needed, but also in just letting us live in our homes and having the freedom to mess it up or to dent it or to scratch it. Even looking at it right now, I can literally see where my kids were doing homework on this table and writing too hard. I can see the indentation of words. It says math. And while I could sand that out and redo the top, I kind of don't want to. Like at this point, it's lived with us for so long that it holds more memories than it does value. But really, the memories are more valuable anyways. This next piece I also snagged from Facebook Marketplace for $100. The lines on it were exactly what I was looking for, nothing overly ornate, but that color was very, very orange, and the tiger wood, though beautiful, was way out of my style. So for this piece, I simply sanded, primed, and painted it, and then I left the wood interior so that it had a little bit of contrast and warmed up the piece quite a bit. This is one of those pieces that I get asked all the time where I bought it from, because it looks like a Pottery Barn or a restoration hardware piece that you would pay $4,000 to $5,000 for, and really all I spent was $100 and a can of paint. Now, I've documented all of these flips over the years, so you can check them all out on my blog for full tutorials on how I've done each piece. Now, if you were here during the early days of my YouTube channel, you saw me struggle and toil and have misery over refinishing this cabinet. This was another $100 piece off of Facebook Marketplace. It was absolutely beautiful, but the red tones in it were far too red and not my style whatsoever. Again, it had the most beautiful clean lines, and I knew that I could update it to a piece that would work for my home, but in this particular instance, I made so many mistakes, and I feel like that is really something that you can expect when you are learning how to refinish furniture. So I stained this baby and sanded it back down at least 3 times. I stripped it. I did everything I could to it to get it lightened when I didn't really know what I was doing. And in my new home, I love how it fits. It's perfect for the location. It complements our flooring so well, and it really fits into the kind of modern cottage style that I'm going for in this current house, much better than it did in our last house, which was a lot more modern farmhouse or organic modern. Now this piece is so fun because in our last home, it was a pantry for us in the kitchen, just to the extension of our cabinetry. And it was a great piece just to kind of throw in there as a standalone and added interest to the room. But here in this house, it actually just stores a little bit of extra decor, like overflow of water bottles, batteries, you know, it's kind of a catch-all. And one thing that I did is I actually kept the inside the same color as it was originally. That's where that went. Do you know how many things are crooked in my house because I couldn't find this? Now, what I kind of love about this is that I literally only left it as is because I was so exhausted from refinishing this cabinet that the thought of doing the inside too was gonna cripple me. Just being honest. But what I love now is that I did leave it as is to see the history of it, to see the character. The beadboard, the original beadboard backing is still the same color that it was when it was originally installed, wherever it was originally installed. And so it just has a little bit of extra charm because of that. This was actually part of a larger bank of cabinets. I can tell just because of how the edges are. You can definitely see where this should have been connected to another piece of cabinetry, so I don't know what it was originally used for, but I think it's really cool to have that history. Now, sometimes you do get a piece that you just love the shape of, and that is what I loved about this half moon console table. It was in pretty rough shape. I didn't love the wood color, but I loved the shape of it, and I loved the drawers, and I was looking for pieces like this online, and they were so expensive. And so I snagged this one from an antique store, and even though it was a little bit higher price than I normally would pay, I knew that it would be worth it in the end. So I wanted to do something a little bit more creative with this piece, and so I just kind of washed it down, played around with ideas for what I could do since the top was so damaged, and in the end decided to paint it a very pretty green color. I used spray paint for this one, which is very easy, so much easier than brushing. But then on the drawers, I wanted to kind of keep a little bit of that original color, and then I lined the drawer front with faux leather, and I really love how it turned out. It looks like such a custom piece, and really all I spent was about $80 on this piece and a little bit of elbow grease and creativity. It lived in our entryway for quite a while at my last home. Then I moved it over to our cottage when we had an Airbnb, and then we sold it furnished, and I left it there, and I'm actually really sad because I loved this piece and how it turned out. It was so interesting, and I'm gonna have to try and find another one like it to do it again. Side tables are really one of those pieces that you can find really interesting shapes. I love the legs on this. I love the clover top. And this one I stripped down, and then I tried to refinish it several different ways, but found out that the legs were a different wood than the top, which made it a big struggle to get them all to match well. And so I ended up kind of whitewashing it, tan washing it, which helped to mask some of that imperfection of the veneer. It was in not the best shape, but I didn't really love the red tones, and so I just stripped that right down. And in the end, I think that it turned out pretty cute, even though I still wasn't 100% happy with the color. Now it works really perfectly as a side table for my husband's lounge chair. And once again, another side table. This one was in really rough shape. The top was completely damaged. It had a lot of chips and the wood was curled, and so I knew that it would be a big project piece, but I thought that it had some potential, especially with those legs. For this one, I used the easy off strip method, which I don't think I would do again, but it was worth a shot. It did take the stain off very quickly and very easily, especially for the legs, but I feel like it was just too damaging to the wood. I probably wouldn't do it again unless it was a really rough piece that I wasn't too worried about damaging. I just sanded it down, and then I ended up doing a tan wash on this one, and I really do love how it turned out. It really brought all of the red out of the piece, and it made it look a little bit more like a white oak, even though not quite to the standards of white oak. But it turned out to be just the right color to match the floors at my last house, which is what I was trying to accomplish so that it fit in really well between these two side chairs. And I can't believe how much stripping a piece of furniture can go from taking it looking like this to looking like this. And it's just a very small amount of effort. Now there are some pieces that you should not touch. This came like this. It was $50 on Facebook Marketplace. This would be about $1,500 to $2,000 at an antique store, and I will never touch this one. Now earlier this spring, I showed you this cabinet that I snagged off of Facebook Marketplace. I do want to take out some of that honey oak tone because I don't have it anywhere else in my home, but I'm not sure yet what I'm gonna do. I would love to hear your opinion on what would be the best route to take with this piece. Should I paint it? Should I strip it? Should I try and pickle it or do a light tan wash? What would be your recommendation, knowing what my house looks like, so that it fits in a little bit better with my style, but also with the different wood tones that I have in my home, which are mostly a European oak and a walnut tone. So drop that in the comments, and we will see what this project piece ends up looking like later this fall. Even though this is not the color that I want this cabinet to be, I still really love it in the living room, and so I just style it up until I'm ready to actually refinish it. So once you guys give me some hints on what you think I should do, maybe I'll take action once the fall arrives, because I don't want to be stripping this in the heat. Facebook Marketplace has come a long way from just searching for local finds within a geographic radius, and instead it can just shoot you out wherever you want based on your search terms. So I want to teach you just a couple of quick tips on how to train the Marketplace algorithm to show you the things that you want to find. Most of this has to do with keywords and then what you are saving, liking, and interacting with when you're on the page. So for example, if I was looking for something like this, I would search antique cabinet hutch. Pretty generic. It's going to show you a huge amount of listings that have those keywords in their description, but when you start interacting with very specific ones that look a certain way, maybe it's double doors, maybe it's really primitive, maybe it's a certain wood tone, then that's going to train the algorithm what to show you more in the future. So click on listings, look at the pictures, that tells Facebook you're interested in this piece and it will show you more like it. Once you're in a listing that you like, whether you're gonna buy it or not, whether it's in your geographic area or not, if you love the item, hit the save button. That also teaches the algorithm what to show you in the future. Try out different search terms, different spellings, different variations. Instead of only antique, pop vintage in there or do a specific time period. And it is all learning, a little creepy, as you go, what your style is, what your preferences are, so that it will serve those to you in the future without you having to do as much legwork. I hope seeing how I have taken some very, very affordable pieces and made them look very high end with effort, yes. With a little bit of skill, sometimes questionable. Most of the times I was doing these, it was my first time ever refinishing in the way that I was refinishing, so all still very beginner friendly. And seeing the end result from where they started can inspire you to head to the thrift store, head to a garage sale, check out Facebook Marketplace, especially that one. There are so many treasures on Facebook Marketplace. And create a dream home that you love on a budget. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed today's video. Hit that subscribe button. Let me know what I should do with this cabinet, and I'll see you next week.